In Iraq, 1991, amid the chaos of the Gulf War, American soldiers launch a fiery raid on an Iraqi encampment. During a routine sweep of a nearby village, a young boy becomes separated from a group of detainees. Soldier Jack Starks goes to retrieve him, but as he approaches, the boy suddenly draws a gun and shoots Starks point-blank in the head. Believed to be dead, Starks is rushed to a field hospital. Moments later, his eyes snap open, shocking the medics, who immediately call for a doctor. Against all odds, he survives the head wound. By 1992, the war veteran Jack Starks has returned home to Vermont but plagued by severe memory loss and disorienting blackouts. While walking along a snow-covered road, Jack comes across a broken-down pickup truck with a woman and her young daughter. The woman, Jean, appears disoriented and possibly drunk, but Jack offers to help anyway. As he works under the hood, the little girl, Jackie, notices his dog tags. When Jack explains what they are, she shyly asks if she can have them, and Jack agrees, letting her keep them. Once he gets the truck running, Jackie hugs him in gratitude, but Jean quickly pulls her daughter back, warning Jack to stay away. Jack doesn't argue, he simply walks off, trying to hitch a ride north toward Canada. Before long, a man in a passing car offers him a lift to the border. Everything seems fine until a police officer pulls them over for reasons unknown. Jack's memory suddenly blanks out, and when he regains awareness, he's accused of murdering the cop. During the trial, a doctor testifies that Jack suffers from Gulf War syndrome, which may be causing memory lapses and psychological trauma. Jack insists someone else was present during the shooting, but the only thing he can clearly recall is meeting Jean and Jackie earlier that day. A military official argues that if Jack did commit the crime, he wasn't in control of his actions due to his condition. The court finds him not guilty by reason of insanity and sends him to a psychiatric institution in Alpine Grove. There, Jack spends his days sedated and isolated, waiting for nurses to bring his medication. One night, two orderlies named Harding and Damon enter his room unexpectedly. Without explanation, they inject him with an unknown substance. He drags Jack down to the basement and forces him into a straitjacket. Moments later, Dr. Becker walks in and rips the tape from his mouth. Jack pleads, saying he doesn't belong here, but Becker ignores him, cold and detached, before sliding him into the morgue drawer. Trapped in darkness, Jack begins to relive fragments of his past. Flashes of the battlefield, the gunshot to his head, and the night the officer was killed. Panicked, he screams to be let out, but no one answers. Moments later, Dr. Thomas Becker orders the nurses to pull Jack out of the drawer and return him to his room. The next day, another patient, Rudy Mackenzie, tries to strike up a conversation with Jack. At first, Jack isn't interested, but Rudy keeps talking. When Jack finally asks why he's in the asylum, Rudy admits he tried to kill his wife 30 times, but insists he never really meant to do it. That night, the nurses take Jack back to the basement for another session inside the drawer. Becker seems pleased that Jack is being more cooperative, but his relief vanishes when Jack suddenly grabs the straitjacket and smashes him in the face with it. Furious, Becker storms out, leaving without telling the nurses how long Jack should stay locked inside. Later, Dr. Hopkins confronts Becker about his methods, worried about how they're treating Jack. Becker brushes it off, claiming he's just giving the patient medication to curb his violent behavior. When Hopkins returns to the morgue, he hears Jack's desperate pleas from inside the drawer, but afraid to go against Becker's orders, he walks away. Moments later, Jack begins to experience flashes of his past. Until suddenly, he finds himself standing at a gas station. A woman steps out of a diner and spots Jack standing outside as she walks to her car. Before leaving, she warns him he won't find a cab this late, especially on Christmas Eve. Feeling sorry for him, she offers him a ride. Jack accepts, even though he doesn't really know where he's going. She eventually takes him back to her place and tries calling a few shelters, but they're all full. With no other option, she lets him stay the night. Before heading to take a bath, she tells Jack he can help himself to anything in the fridge if he's hungry. Jack introduces himself, but she stops him, saying she wants to help, but doesn't want to know who he is. While searching the fridge, Jack finds a small rock with the word "petal" carved into it. Later, when the woman returns, she's surprised to see Jack has made her a sandwich. As they eat, Jack mentions the rock he found. The woman grows tense, upset that he was looking through her things, but eventually admits that "petal" was a nickname her mother used to call her. After a few drinks, she passes out on the couch. Jack quietly looks around the house and freezes when he spots something familiar. His dog tags, hanging on the wall. Then he sees an old photo of the woman with Jean and realizes she's Jackie, the little girl from years ago. When she wakes, Jackie confirms it. She tells him her mother died in a fire after passing out with a cigarette in her hand, her life destroyed by one tragic mistake. Jack asks Jackie what year it is, and she replies, it's 2007. He's stunned. That means he's somehow traveled more than a decade into the future. Jack tries to explain that he's the same man who once helped fix their car years ago, but Jackie doesn't believe a word of it. As he describes every detail of their encounter, she becomes overwhelmed, insisting that it's impossible, because Jack died on New Year's Day, 1993. When Jack continues to plead his case, Jackie panics and demands that he leave. The moment he steps outside her house, everything fades, and he's suddenly back inside the morgue drawer. Later, when Dr. Becker returns, he scolds Dr. Hopkins for leaving Jack locked in the drawer all night. Becker snaps, telling him he should have used common sense since no one was told how long Jack should stay in there. The nurses eventually bring Jack back to his room. That's when Dr. Beth Lawrenson notices the bruises covering his body and confronts Becker about it. Fearing Jack might end up like one of their former patients, Ted Casey, she urges Becker to stop his cruel experiments. But Becker coldly reminds her that she was the one who failed Casey, not him. After her shift, Lawrenson visits a friend's house to check on her son, Babak Yazdi, a quiet boy who seems to have autism. He doesn't speak, but when Lawrenson gently asks him to point to certain objects, he responds, showing there's still something alive and aware behind those eyes. The next day, Dr. Becker informs Jack that it's already December 26th. He's been asleep for an entire day. After Becker leaves, Jack pulls out his IV and quietly wanders through the halls until he reaches the building's exit. Dr. Lawrenson sees him from the window. Dr. Lawrenson catches up to him and tries to convince him to come back inside. But Jack insists he doesn't belong there. He's not insane. Lawrenson promises to talk to Becker and try to end the treatments, but Jack refuses. As painful as they are, he admits they make him feel different. Later, back inside the asylum, Jack questions Rudy about Becker's so-called treatments. He confides that he's going to die in 4 days, and it'll happen after another session in the drawer. Rudy urges him to stay calm when he's inside, saying that the flashes from his past will only control him if he lets them. Don't focus on where you've been, Rudy tells him. Focus on where you want to go. The two cause a distraction during group therapy, hoping Becker will send Jack back into the drawer, and it works. Once locked inside, Jack relives the day of the police officer's murder. He remembers the cop pulling them over, and the stranger he was riding with suddenly pulling a gun and shooting the officer the moment he steps out of the car. The officer fires back, grazing Jack, who collapses unconscious. The stranger finishes off the cop, wipes his fingerprints, and tosses the weapon beside Jack, framing him before running off into the cold. Moments later, Jack jolts awake and finds himself back in 2007. He tracks down Jackie, who's now working as a waitress at a diner. During Jackie's break, Jack tells her he needs to know how he died. Intrigued, Jackie starts digging into old records and discovers that Dr. Becker once conducted experimental behavioral treatments on his patients, and that Jack Starks died from a severe head wound. She also finds mention of Dr. Lawrenson having a young patient named Babak Yazdi, but there's still no clear explanation of how Jack actually died back in 1993. Jackie then learns that Alpine Grove still exists. Determined to uncover the truth, she agrees to take Jack there. At the hospital, Jack pretends to be his own nephew to trick the staff into releasing information about his death. A doctor tells him that Jack Starks died of blunt force trauma, but the report lacks any other details. When they ask about the psychiatrists who treated him, they learn that only Dr. Lawrenson still works there. Dr. Hopkins passed away years ago. When they meet with Lawrenson, she recognizes Jack immediately, saying he was one of her most unforgettable patients, because he helped her reach Babak in ways no one else could. But even she can't say much about the exact trauma that caused his death. After leaving her office, Jack and Jackie head down to the basement to see if the drawer still exists. There, they run into Damon, now a patient himself. He warns them they're in a restricted area. Still posing as his own nephew, Jack asks if Damon remembers how he died. Damon only recalls finding Jack's lifeless body in the asylum. But Jack refuses to let it go. He accuses Damon of being the one who killed him. Damon, clearly shaken, insists he never laid a hand on him. Moments later, a nurse walks in and tells Damon it's time for his medication. Outside the hospital, Jackie offers to help Jack track down Dr. Becker. They return to her house, and that night, they make love, finding comfort in each other amid all the confusion. Later, Jack admits he doesn't have much time left. Soon, he'll be pulled back to 1992. Jackie pleads with him to come back for her, but Jack tells her he can't control when, or if, it will happen again. As she sleeps, he quietly fades away. The next day, Jack tells Dr. Lawrenson about his experiences. How every time he's locked in the drawer, he finds himself in the year 2007. Naturally, Lawrenson doesn't believe him. She suspects Rudy's stories may be influencing his delusions and explains that Rudy isn't institutionalized for attempted murder as he claimed. In truth, Rudy locked himself in his house for 2 months after his wife left him, posing a danger to himself. Jack doesn't care about Rudy's past. He's certain his time travel experiences are real. Lawrenson insists it's all in his head, until Jack mentions something he shouldn't know, her young patient, Babbitt. He says she told him about the boy in 2007. Shaken, Lawrenson later visits Babbitt's home and asks the boy's mother if she ever told anyone about his sessions. But the woman swears no one else knows. When Jack returns to 2007, Jackie tells him she learned that Lawrenson used mild electroshock therapy to treat Babbitt's condition. The boy couldn't speak, not because of autism, but because of severe seizures. Later, Jack and Jackie head to Dr. Becker's old house. A neighbor tells them he's at the church nearby. When Jack confronts Becker there, the doctor claims the treatment might have driven Jack to take his own life. But Jack fires back. He didn't die by suicide. His autopsy showed blunt force trauma. Becker insists he doesn't remember exactly what happened the day Jack died, only that Jack had mentioned some of his other patients the last time he came out of the drawer. Becker insists that the people Jack remembers were nothing but criminals. But Jack pushes back, saying they were his patients, and now their memories haunt him because of the terrible things Becker did to them. After Becker storms off, Jack suddenly grows weak, struck by another powerful vision from his past. Realizing he's about to be pulled back to 1992, he quickly asks Jackie for her childhood address. Jackie tries to drive Jack to the hospital, but while she's talking to him, he fades away once again. When Becker eventually pulls him out of the drawer, Jack looks him in the eye and tells him the names of his former patients, reminding the doctor that the weight of their suffering will follow him for the rest of his life. Later that day, Jack speaks with Dr. Lawrenson, explaining that Babbitt's inability to speak isn't psychological. It's caused by continuous seizures. He tells her she'll soon treat the boy using electroshock therapy. Lawrenson is stunned, insisting that no one performs such treatments on children. That night, however, desperation overcomes her doubt. She gently administers a mild electric shock in hopes of stopping Babbitt's seizures. The boy convulses briefly, then stills. When Lawrenson softly asks him to say something, Babbitt finally responds. The treatment works. The next morning, Lawrenson returns to the asylum, where Jack asks her for one final favor, to take him to Jackie's home so he can deliver a letter to her mother, Jean. He quietly admits that he's going to die that night. Moved. Lawrenson agrees. When they arrive, young Jackie instantly recognizes Jack as the man who once helped fix their car. Jack kindly asks her to call her mother. When Jean appears, Jack hands her the letter, telling her it's important that she believes every word inside. Before leaving, Jack asks Jean to keep calling her daughter Petal, because it's a name Jackie loves. On the way back to the hospital, Jack tells Dr. Lawrenson to put him in the straitjacket one last time. But when they arrive, he suddenly collapses, reliving the memory of the Iraqi boy who shot him in the head. Blood trickles down his temple as he weakly repeats his request, to be placed back in the jacket. In the letter he left for Jean, Jack explains that he first died during the Gulf War at 27 years old, and that he'll die again later that night. He writes that his body will be found the next day and urges her to confirm the truth with the asylum. Jack warns Jean about her future, that one day she'll pass out with a cigarette in her hand, and it will take her life. He tells her that Jackie will grow up missing her, lost in the same sadness that once consumed her mother. Jack begs Jean to stay sober, to keep fighting for a better life with her daughter. He ends the letter with a simple but powerful reminder. Keep living, because when you die, the only thing you'll wish for is another chance to live. Lawrenson and Hopkins manage to place Jack into the drawer just before he dies. When Jack opens his eyes again, he's back in 2007. He spots Jackie leaving the diner, wearing a coat over her nurse's uniform. She drives past him at first, but then stops, reverses, and asks if he's all right. She notices the cut on his head and offers him a ride to the hospital. As they drive, Jackie's phone rings. It's her mother. Jack's face lights up with relief. Jean is alive, and she and Jackie still have a close relationship. After Jackie hangs up, she looks at Jack and softly asks,
"How much time do we have?"
If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more recaps like this. Thank you for watching.